This is technically a continuation of the Sanhedrin classes, although we're not really studying Gemara tonight, only because some of you requested that we study a little more about the Mashiach, because last week, as you recall, we were reading about the Mashiach in the Gemara, and I guess that triggered some excitement or curiosity, especially since we are getting closer and closer. But one of the best, sometimes people say, when the Mashiach coming, I don't know, but I can always say we're getting closer and closer, right? Because we always are getting closer and closer. But seriously, I think, all right, I really think I think we're at like humanity is at a cliff, and like if he doesn't come, it's just like, well, like just not in good shape. I see the direction of the Western world. So anyway, let's read about the Mashiach. So there's two aspects of the Mashiach, and this is important because last week we read that there was a person called Bar Kochva or Bar Koziva, and people thought he was the Mashiach. And interestingly enough, he wasn't a rabbinic spiritual figure. He was more of a warrior. So how can that be? So there's two separate aspects of the Mashiach. There is the spiritual, intellectual dimension, let's call it dimension of the Mashiach, and then there is the political dimension of the Mashiach. And both things are combined in one man, which is to say he will be a great Chacham of tremendous brilliance, but he will also be a great leader of the Jewish people. And as a great leader of the Jewish people, he will make changes to Medinat Israel, to the state of Israel, and he will redeem the Jewish people from the oppression that we have been in for so many thousands of years. And he will also eventually bring changes to humanity. So Mashiach doesn't just change us. Mashiach also changes the vector of human civilization. So I think what I want to do is I first want to read about the spiritual, intellectual dimension of the Mashiach, which is very short. Rambam doesn't write a lot about that. And then we're going to switch books, and we're going to go to the part where he speaks about what the Mashiach will do as a leader. Okay, so those are the two parts of the class. So I'm going to read, we're reading Hilchot Teshuvah Perek Tet Halacha Bet, chapter 9, Halacha number 2. So Rambam is reading, is explaining that Hashem will reward the Jewish nation when Am Yisrael makes teshuvah. Hashem is going to reward the Jewish nation, and eventually we will reach the Messianic era. So he says here, now he begins to speak about the Mashiach. And for this reason, meaning the aspiration to reach that state where Am Yisrael is in the land of Israel, is sitting safely on the land of Israel. There is tremendous beracha, there is tremendous prosperity, there is tremendous wisdom, right? So for this reason, all of Israel, we've always been praying for thousands of years for the Mashiach. In the Amidah we say, Et semach David abdecha merat tasmiach. Et semach David abdecha merat tasmiach is a reference to the pasuk in Yeshaya, v'yasa hoter, that there's going to be a branch. Remember we studied this last week in the right. Oh, I'm sorry. Exactly. So remember last week in the Gemara brought that pasuk that there's going to be a branch coming out. So when we say it's semach David, the plant, that's the hoter, right? That's a plant. We say, God, please make this plant grow. It's semach David of the plant that comes from King David. Please, bring it out. We're waiting for the Mashiach, right? So that's the beracha in the Amidah, is a prayer for the Mashiach. Nevi'ehem, the Nevi'im saw visions of the Mashiach, and they said, they wished for the Mashiach. The Chachmehem, of course, the Chachamim, they all had a tremendous desire to see the days of the Mashiach. Yemot HaMelech HaMashiach. They wanted to see this state of the Jewish people. Kedeh sheyanuchu mimalchut harishah, because we the Jewish people, we want to be left alone from the evil kingdom that dominates humanity and that oppresses, in particular, Jews. You saw the Oscar this week. I don't watch Oscar. I mean, it doesn't interest me. I'm not it's not something that does anything for me. But there was a person. His name was a Jewish person. Glazer, yeah. What was his first name? Jonathan Glazer. So apparently he made a movie about the Holocaust, and the movie about the Holocaust was showing how some a German family was living comfortably next to, I guess, some ghetto. I don't know which one. I didn't watch the movies. I don't know the full details. And they were trying to show how people are basically apathetic towards anti-Semitism. So while they're like killing Jews in the ghetto next door, the family is like sitting down having their Sunday morning breakfast, whatever. So it was trying to show the apathy of the world towards anti-Semitism. I just thought it was so remarkable to have him get up there and talk about the oppression of the Palestinians by Israel, that Israel is oppressing the Palestinians. I mean, greater apathy for anti-Semitism I can't think of. You make that movie and then you yourself are apathetic to the fact, what did that war come from? Like, where did it come? Wasn't there like this horrible, a horrible event where Jews will or whatever? I don't want to say what happened because we're in a synagogue. It's a holy place. Are you not aware of that? So you see, he actually is a great manifestation of what the movie was talking about, which is complete apathy towards Jews being killed. And it's just kind of like normalized. Like they try to normalize the killing of Jews. Now, part of the reason for this is because, so think about it. Why is it always the Jews? Like, what's going on here? So there's a political elite so you have the politicians, okay? So everybody thinks the politicians are running the world. They're not running the world. The ones running the world are the people who put the politicians in power. They're the ones running the world, right? So whoever it is, whoever these people are, World Economic Forum, let's say World Economic Forum, the people who want us to eat bugs and want us to basically live miserable lives. So they're running the world. Now, what is the great danger for the World Economic Forum? And the answer is Torah. Because Torah is a system that comes from God. It is above man. It is above man. It is above the political establishment. And Jews, as Jews, we are beholden to the Torah. We don't care what the Goy tells us. So they've always been oppressing Jews because they sense it. They sense that the Jews, you can't mess with the Jews. You can't just tell the Jews, stop being Shomer Shabbat, stop putting on tefillin. You can't, there's a limit to what you can tell Jews, and they realize it, and they don't like that. They want us all, as I said last week, they want us all lying down with the virtual reality glasses, like just basically like, vegetating or in a vegetative state, doing nothing while they, inject, bug fluid into our mouths, right? And this is like, watching something on the thing and having the bug fluid. So the thing stopping that dream, or I shall call it a nightmare, is the fact that the Jews have Torah, and the Torah is a system that is above any other system. That's why they hate us. That's the reason for anti-Semitism. The Gemara says that when God brought the Torah down to Sinai, what was Har Sinai called Har Sinai? Mishum sheyarda sin'a la'olam. Sinai is abbreviation of the word hatred. At the moment the Torah came down, they hated the Jews because we don't care what you tell us. We ain't listening to you. We don't want that lifestyle. We can't use virtual reality glasses on Shabbat. So forget about it. We ain't keeping it on all the time. Maybe the rest of the week we'll all be on our phones. Shabbat, we're putting the phones down. So that's a danger for them, right? We have an independent system of thought. So we've always been oppressed. You notice he says the evil kingdom. What? But usually it's more than one kingdom, no? Don't we say that in the tefillah? Why don't we say in the tefillah in singular? There's many evil kingdoms. There's whatever. I don't want to fill in the blanks. Okay, I don't want to get into politics. If I say one country, why do you say that one, not this one? All right, but there's country A, B, C, D. There's a lot of evil countries in the world. There's a lot of evil kingdoms, right? So why do we say umalchut harisha? Why do we say umalchuyot harisha? Sorry, allergy, man, just comes out of the blue. Give me a minute. Allergy season did not start. I think there's some dust there. Shloms, give me like a napkin or something, please. Sorry about that. All right, thank you very much. Yeah. So you understand the question? Why do we say umalchut harisha uproot the evil kingdom? It should be uproot the evil kingdoms. There's a lot of bad kingdoms in the world. So the answer is there's a lot of countries in the world, but there's a political elite. They're all in it together. They all go to Davos, Switzerland. They're all unified now in our world. That's what happens. And you think there wasn't a political elite in the Middle Ages, in the Dark Ages? There's always an elite that runs the world, and they're unified. They just use the wars for their own personal interests. I just give you an example. You have the world war, Russia, Ukraine. Obviously, I'm not in favor of Russia, like really, but they love war because like just one example. Like, I don't want to go like too much into politics, but you have like the weapons company. So how did the war with Ukraine start? Because they wanted to bring Ukraine into NATO. Why do they want to bring Ukraine into NATO? They know it's going to trigger a war with Russia. Obviously, Russia is not going to let NATO be in Ukraine. Everybody knew that because when Ukraine signs the NATO alliance treaty, Ukraine now has to buy weapons to the specifications of NATO. Where do you think the weapons to the specifications of NATO are made? They're made by the American weapons company, Raytheon, Boeing, and other companies. And who do you think owns these companies? BlackRock. Okay, so BlackRock owns all the weapons companies. Who do you think funds the politicians? BlackRock. Okay, who do you think provides a bank financing to fund the war? Because you need banks actually transfer the money to the various BlackRock. Okay, you need insurance, right? You have to have insurance. It's a war, right? Who do you think owns the insurance companies? BlackRock. Okay, let's continue. You need to rebuild because they're going to destroy Ukraine. Oh, who is going to rebuild Ukraine? Companies owned by BlackRock. So it's all like, you see what I say when I say Malchut Harisha? There's a cabal of people up there. They know what's happening, and they'll preach to us how there has to be war and war and war. And when the Mashiach comes, he's going to go right through the cabal and say, guys, enough of this joke. Like, stop playing a joke on humanity. There are disagreements between people. Certainly, we don't need to constantly spend trillions of dollars, right? Which conveniently go to the very company that funds all the politicians. So that's the idea of Malchut Harisha. You understand the idea of Malchut Harisha? I hope I wasn't too political. Was it too, right? I don't like, no, I don't like, I'm not going to talk, I don't like getting into politics where it's like, some people are sensitive, they like this politician, they like that one. I don't care what you like. I'm just trying to describe to you like some things about the Malchut, why it says Malchut Harisha. So you see that, right?
So is this Malchut Harisha going to be part of Gog and Magog?
I really think so. I really think so. Meaning, I think that Malchut Harisha is going to blow it. And they're incompetence, these people. They're basically incompetence. I think they're going to blow it. And they always think that they can control it. Like, they always think, okay, like Russia, Ukraine, war, no big deal. We'll make some $1 trillion and we'll be able to like kind of like keep it on a low heat. And maybe they will, by the way. I hope they will. I hope that the Russia-Ukraine war doesn't become a bigger conflict. Obviously, we don't want it to become a bigger conflict. And that's what they think. So but they're going to lose control. As they've lost control many times in human history, they will lose control in Gog and Magog and things will just get out of hand, right? So, the Malchut Harisha doesn't want the Jewish people to study Torah. They don't want us to be smart. They don't want us to be good, ethical people with families and children, because that all goes against everything they stand for. They don't want us to perform the mitzvot, as I explained. They want to control humanity. So if you have this group of people who are independent-minded, they won't be able to control that group of people. And we're going to finally be at peace. No one is going to bother us. No one's going to bother us. And once no one bothers the Jewish people, all the effort that now goes into survival, you go to Israel now, it's like literally survival mode. Like they're in big trouble. Israel today is in big trouble. And they're not like, it's not a good situation. I mean, think of it. The north of the country is empty. They're all refugees. So the north of the country has been evacuated, and that's crazy. The south of the country is empty, right? Okay, so the south of the country, refugees in the middle. North of the country, refugees in the middle of the country. I don't know what percentage are fighting in the battle. So now they let a lot of divisions back into Israel. They're going to send them back to battle. So a very bad situation. It's not a good situation in Israel. So when you have all these things happening, it takes away from the ability to study Torah and to really flourish intellectually. So when the Mashiach comes, we're going to have some peace, margoa, relaxation, and there will be a tremendous wisdom. And this way we will have the zechut to reach Olam Haba at the high level, which maybe now, because we don't have the chokhmah, we don't have the wisdom, we can't reach that level in Olam Haba. You understand what Harambam is saying? So that's a good general comment about Yemot HaMashiach. And then he says, now he's going to start describing a little more. In these days, there will be tremendous wisdom all over the world. There will be tremendous intelligence all over the world. the truth will finally come out. V'ha'emet means truth. Shene'emar ki malea ha'aretz de'a et Adonai kamayim layam nechasim. There is going to be a situation where, so today, like, just an example, like, so people today, doesn't matter what the, doesn't matter what the particular message is. It could be a stupid message, but everybody buys into the messages. So there are always these messages that we're getting, through the media, through the various social media, whether it's TikTok or whatever it is. So there's certain things that everybody believes in, and there's certain things that everybody is concerned about, and a lot of it is stupidity. So people,
COVID vaccine.
Right. So, right, I don't want to get so much into. I'm not, again, but the point is, meaning people don't know how to think independently. So it's going to be a situation where emet means people are going to be able to recognize truth, and they recognize lies, and they'll be able to discern. You won't be able to fool people. Today it's very easy to fool humanity. So people are like, they're enslaved and burdened by ideas that are there to hurt them, right? Just think of it like, if you think blacks living in bad neighborhoods, they want the crime there? Of course not. So if you're just a black living in Chicago, do you want there to be crime in Chicago? No. And yet they're always voting for the Democrats who implement policies that create crime in their neighborhoods. So what's happening here? These poor people are being fooled by the politicians into voting for them, and then those very politicians end up hurting them and burdening them with horrible crime. So unfortunately, Chicago, one example, many black children die weekends in Chicago, and just innocent black children getting killed. So people don't know how to discern the truth. They hear something, they get fooled. In the days of the Mashiach, there's going to be a certain intelligence in the world, and they're not going to be fooled anymore. The wisdom, the knowledge of God will fill the world. And there's another pasuk that says that no longer will people be. Let me look at the pasuk. Where is it? Tanakh. Here it is. I want to see the pasuk. It's in the book of Yirmiyah, and let's read the. All right. All right. Perek Lamed Aleph, Pasuk Lamed Gimel. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong chapter. All right. Here we go. Lamed Aleph, Lamed Gimel. Okay. The Pasuk says, Velo yelamedu od ish et ra'ehu, ve'ish et achiv lemor, ya'u et Adonai, ki chulam yadeu oti. So the pasuk says as follows: that in the days of the Mashiach, I thought it was another pasuk and I made a mistake. It's as follows: that in the days of the Mashiach, you're not going to have these people who go around trying to teach about God. So today, like I see a poor Jew, I wanted to put on tefillin, right? The Chabad, they do that. They go out, put on tefillin. We try to teach about knowledge of God. So in the future days, it's not going to be a situation where a person goes to his friend and says, "I want to tell you about God." You should know about God. There's going to be knowledge of God will be pervasive throughout humanity. Children, adults, everybody would understand the presence of God, will feel the presence of God, and there will no longer be this debate where you have atheists and you have people who believe in evolution, people who are creationists, who don't believe in evolution. That whole argument will go by the wayside. People will universally acknowledge the Creator.
But they're not going to all be Jewish, so how's that going to work with just them following a religion?
So with respect to the Goyim, their obligation is the 7 Noahide laws. That's correct. They do not have an obligation to become Jewish. The sense that I get is that there will be a lot of Goyim who will probably want to convert to the one true religion. And in that case, we're going to have to deal, the Sanhedrin is going to have to deal with, how do we do that? Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to accept everybody? In the days of Shlomo HaMelech, they didn't want to accept people to become Gerim because so many people were converting because Shlomo HaMelech was such a great king and there was so much wealth and beauty in the land of Israel. So they had to put a limit. So they kind of What's going to happen in Yom HaMashiach? I don't know. But we know that they only have to observe Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach. That's the minimum, right? And there's a pasuk that says that I'm going to take out the stone heart from your flesh and put in its place, I'll put a flesh heart, meaning right now there's a certain, we say this beautiful, there's a beautiful, we say in Rosh Hashanah and Kippur and the Kaddish, we say Hayom te'amesenu, Hayom, right? Hayom tevarechenu, Hayom tegadelenu, Hayom tedagelenu, right? So at the end of the Kaddish, that long, So it is, one of the things we say is Hayom telabevenu. What does it mean telabevenu? So open up our hearts. So we're trained in the Western world. The hearts of people are they're very cold. People have a certain coldness in the heart, and we don't have normal feelings. As human beings, we should be far more loving, far more caring, but we're taught to have hearts of stone. That's part of the Western world mentality, a very cold, dark mentality. And he says, I'm going to take out this cold heart, stone. You have a stone heart, I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to give you a real flesh heart, which means, like sometimes, President, for example, has a farach. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thought, but he can't enjoy it. Everything is there, his parents, his children, but he doesn't have the ability to enjoy it. Something is blocking. You see what I'm saying? You got the feeling? So there's a certain coldness in the world. So it's going to be beauty. You're going to feel the beauty, right? Sometimes you feel beauty, right? Sometimes you maybe hear a beautiful music and suddenly it opens up your mind and you feel very emotional, right? Happens sometimes, but unfortunately, very rarely. Because the king, the Mashiach, that's going to come from the seed of David HaMelech, Ba'al Chokhmah Yihiyeh Yoter Mishelamo. He will be even wiser than King Solomon. And this is remarkable because we know that there is no prophet that will reach the level of Moses. No prophet ever reached the level of Moses. No prophet ever will reach the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Mashiach, he's going to get close to Moshe Rabbeinu, which is, it's an incredible statement. And that's why we said last week, he's going to be able to see a person and immediately know just by looking at that person if he's real, he's phony, has yirat shamayim, doesn't have yirat shamayim, you won't be able to fool him. And therefore the Mashiach is going to be able to not just be intelligent himself, but he will bring wisdom to all the nation of Israel. He's going to teach them the ways of God. All the goyim, the Gentile nations, to your point, the Gentile nations are going to come to learn from the Mashiach. So everybody's going to come to Eretz Yisrael, because the same way in the days of Solomon, by the way, all the goyim came to Israel. They wanted to see Jerusalem. They wanted to see King Solomon. In the days of the Mashiach, they're going to come to hear the Mashiach. The mountain of God, Jerusalem, where the Bet HaMikdash is going to be very, very high up above all the other mountains, meaning it's an allegory saying that everybody is going to be aware of what's happening in Jerusalem. Everybody's going to be aware of the unbelievable brilliance and light that the Mashiach is going to come. They're all going to see it, and they're going to all drawn to it from all the corners of the world. So this is going to happen in Yom HaMashiach. All right, that's the yeah.
Are they going to be, because I know now there's a restriction on the Goyim learning Torah, is that going to be lifted?
That's a nice question. First of all, right, because it says Goy she'asak b'Torah hayamita. So what is that? How is that going to work? Interesting. First, and then that's a nice question. How are they going to do that? But apparently there will be, education for the Goyim and bring them knowledge of God, bring them knowledge of Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach. But that's nice. They're going to have to deal with that particular issue. Yeah, I'm sorry.
After the Mashiach comes, is that considered Olam Haba?
No. So first of all, let me put it to you this way. There's a machloket on what Olam Haba means. Some rabbis actually say that the Messianic era leads to Olam Haba. So this world becomes Olam Haba. And other Chachamim, like Hananam says, no, Olam Haba is the next world in any event. But apparently, Yemot HaMashiach, the way I interpret it, is a kind of a bridge to Olam Haba, meaning this world will become a world where there is so much knowledge and so much beauty and purity, that Olam Haba will not be something far away and beyond our understanding. Right now, the difference between us here in this Brooklyn, New York, and Olam Haba is vast. It's infinite. We're like in such a state here that like I can't even think about what Olam Haba is, and the thought of death is terrifying to all of us, as well it should be, and death itself is painful and traumatic. In Yemot HaMashiach, humanity would have been so elevated that the distance between that state and Olam Haba is going to be vastly reduced. So I believe it's almost like the world will have like a bridge, right, to Olam Haba, if I may. Yeah. One more halacha on this, and then we're going to go to the next book, which discusses the political aspect. Because here I told you it's going to be the more intellectual aspect. The ultimate reward is not going to be in this world. As great as the Yemot HaMashiach is going to be, the ultimate reward is going to be in Olam Haba. As I said for Harambam, Olam Haba is another world, not this world. Some rabbis say it's this world, but he says no, it's a different state of reality, a higher state. But getting back to Yemot HaMashiach, this world is where Yemot HaMashiach is going to be. The laws of nature will continue. According to Rambam, the laws of nature are not going to change. There are going to be dramatic things happening. There's going to be Tichat HaMetim. So that's within the laws of nature, according to Rambam. Tichat HaMetim doesn't negate the laws of nature. And all those things we studied in the Gemara is all part of the way Hashem runs the world. But in Yemot HaMashiach, Israel will be ruling. Will be ruling the land of Israel. We will have a kingdom, and the kingdom of the Mashiach will be the eternal kingdom. The main difference between our state now, says Harambam, or our state here in Brooklyn, New York, I say, and Yemot HaMashiach is that in this state of existence, as we are now, as Harambam was then, we are under the oppression of the evil kingdoms that don't allow us to develop, that don't allow us to prosper. Just think of this. Israel's been fighting over how many months have we been now in Gaza? I guess November, December, January, February. So we've been there for 4 months. We're about to destroy Hamas. In another month, Hamas is over. There's only, I think, 2 battalions left out of 15 or something like that. I might be wrong on the number.
Is that what people are saying? It's that close to destroying them?
Yeah. We're like it's one more city, Rafiach. We go into Rafiach. It'll probably take about a month. And what?
That's the problem, because now we're at the standoff with the United States saying don't get involved.
Okay. So what does this mean? So what, they don't know what's happening? They know what's happening. They've never let Israel win the war. Meaning, we always win, but we never finish the job, and they do it on purpose, meaning they know that if we go into Rafiah, Hamas is done with, and we're going to be helping Israel, and we're going to be helping the world, because we're going to be eradicating a genocidal terrorist organization that not only wants to kill Jews, it wants to kill Americans. They know that. They just don't want Israel to finish the job. You see what I'm saying? Why wouldn't they want us to go to Rafiah? What's the result? We go in, Hamas is over. We don't go in, Hamas comes back. So the point is, this tells you that they have evil machinations when it comes to the Jews, right? It's they're not doing this for the good of humanity. They're doing this for the good of evil, because they don't want the Jewish nation to flourish. So this is an example of Shi'arbun Malchuyot. And then you say, oh, so Israel should just do whatever Israel wants to do. Well, it's a nice thing to say. We get weapons from America. That's a fact. So we can't just do whatever we want to do. So, and I know, like, I'm not. I hope nobody thinks I'm like left wing or right wing, like watching this. They're gonna say, oh, the guy's like a left wing loony. I'm not a left wing loony. I'm just describing difficulties that we're dealing with. I am all for going into Rafiah and destroying Hamas. I'm just explaining if life were so simple, which it isn't, unless you watch Barney the Dinosaur from the 80s, and then all the raindrops, or lemon drops and gumdrops. Oh, what a rain that will be. I'm sorry, go on. Yes.
When you said that the rules of nature won't be changed, but there's, like you said, obviously, Tichat HaMetim, but also we learned that death would be fully stretched out. That's
right.
Also defying
right.
laws of nature. So what aspects are not?
Right. So it's interesting because we understand some things for example, about the human body and about the mind and about the biology of man and of animals. But there's a lot of things we really don't understand fully. And in Jewish thinking and in Maimonidean thinking, the idea of the person coming back to life is not outside the context of the existing rules of nature. But what it is, we just don't understand the existing rules of nature. Or let's say, take the brain. The brain is like an unbelievably complex machine. We know a lot about the brain. There's a lot we don't know about it. So there's a lot of things in the world that are quote unquote natural and yet unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
So I just give you one simple example, and this is like a great example. If I said like 300 years ago, I don't even have to go 300 years back, but you could be able to talk to somebody and see them. They could see them like holding a little object, and they could be on the other side of the world. You can be able to talk and hear each other and see each other. Like that sounds miraculous. Like right? If that was a description, that's a miracle. But it's not a miracle. There is something in the actual laws of nature that allow you to achieve this. Right? So right now I could be I'm not live feeding myself, but I could be live feeding myself theoretically, and somebody could be watching me in Israel. So that's the idea of the Hayat HaMetim and Arambam. There are things we don't understand. Right? And when we understand them, it's going to be like, wow, like this is unbelievable. So that's Billah, Mavit Lanesa is part of the natural world. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the political dimension. What time is it?
9:06.
All right, we'll read a little about the political dimensions. Give me a moment. It's Perek Hadasa. Okay. All right, so here, this is an Ilchot Melachim, and I'll give you, that book is no longer necessary, but here you can, HaMelech HaMashiach, you see right here on the top of the page. Go to Ilchot Melachim, Perek Hadasa, and here's Shlomo. Okay. Chapter 11 in Ilchot Melachim. It's at the very end of the Mishnah Torah. For those of you using the phones. Yeah. HaMelech HaMashiach. So this is going to talk. So Ilchot Melachim, Haramam wrote Ilchot Melachim, the laws of kings, teaches the wars of Israel, the laws of the wars of Israel, the laws related to conquering the land of Israel, and so on. One of the things he discusses is the Melech HaMashiach. And this is, as I said, this is a political dimension. So HaMelech HaMashiach atid la'amod u'lachazin malchut beDavid le'oshla. The king, the Mashiach, is in the future going to rise up and reinstitute the kingdom of David. The original kingdom of David, the Davidic dynasty, is going to be continued. But there's somebody in the community, there's a family in the community that they have a Sefer Yochasin, a book where they trace their roots all the way back to David HaMelech, which is really amazing if you think about it, right?
Dayan, right?
Dayan, yeah, exactly. I think they live in Deal. I met a member of the family, or a young rabbi. I don't remember his first name, but you're right. So he confirmed to me that it's true, that they have a Sefer Yochasin. Is that amazing?
It's crazy.
Right, that's good. It's thousands of years, and they still have it. That's very special. That's very special. So the original kingdom is going to rise up, Ubane Mikdash, and he has to build a better Mikdash. People always ask me, is this person the Mashiach? Is that person the Mashiach? And the proof of the pudding is in the making. I know the Chabad, like there's some Chabad, not all of them, but some of them think that the Rebbe Menachem Schneerson, Alav Shalom, great. Of course, we love him, needless to say, and we respect him. And he was a great man, a great leader. He did so many good things for Am Yisrael. When I say that he wasn't the Mashiach, that's not an insult. I love my father tremendously. I think he was a great, great, great Chacham. And I don't think he was a Mashiach. I don't like him. I also don't think I'm the Mashiach. And Shalom, you're probably not the Mashiach because we're from Shevet Levi. So I love my son, but he's not the Mashiach. So when I say that the Lubavitch Rebbe is not the Mashiach, I know some people might get angry. I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm not saying it to be offensive. But the Mashiach has to actually do what the Mashiach does, right? So what is it the Mashiach does? So first he has to build the Beit HaMikdash. I think to build the Beit HaMikdash, at the minimum, you need to have a, what is that called, a pulse, when you feel your pulse? I think if you don't have a pulse, you ain't building the Bet HaMikdash. Right? Is that like, am I being unfair here? Is there something here that's... So apparently he's in Olam Haba with great tzaddikim, but to my knowledge, he did not build a Bet HaMikdash. Does anybody know otherwise? There's something
They
I
say
didn't...
that Mashiach is alive, right? Or will be alive?
No, they say that he was the Mashiach.
No, that I know. But I'm saying in general, like you said, he has to have a pulse.
Right. Oh yeah, he has to be alive. Exactly. I mean, if he's not alive, he can't be the Mashiach. You know, it's like, so...
It's possible that he was, meaning every generation there's someone who could be appointed the Mashiach,
Okay.
but if they're not appointed, then they're not the Mashiach.
Right.
Ultimately, there's only one Mashiach.
Right. No, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's fine. Listen, I was sitting in a synagogue in Israel, and they had like a pamphlet, they give out Friday night, like for the Perashat HaShavua, and they referred to him as a Melech HaMashiach Mamash, like really Melech HaMashiach. Okay, I don't know, I was like, I guess the Mashiach came and nobody told me I was going to make a big celebration. It just didn't work out. I missed it. Okay. Instead, we had to watch the State of the Union address the other night. I don't know. It didn't seem too messianic to me. It was crazy. It's like the guy was screaming the whole time. Old man screaming at the moon. That's like the new, like... Okay, anyway, sorry. I'm just get a little carried away. So he has to build a Bet HaMikdash. Ubonei HaMikdash. Okay? Umkaves et Chai Yisrael. Also, the Mashiach is going to make the land of Israel so beautiful and so prosperous that he's going to cause the Jews to return to Israel. This is an important point. Like now, if you live in Israel, it may be one of the only countries in the world where people move there, although they can't make a living there. And then they're like I remember there's people like in Ranana who used to work in France. So they take a flight to France once a week, come back to Israel before Shabbat. Some people would work in Italy. Some people would work in America. Like it's really a weird thing. What is wrong with that country? Like, why can't people make a living there? Like, what is going on? Like, right? Like, you can make a living in this country, in that country, and that. No, somewhere like there, you can't make a living. So that's the Mashiach is going to do that. You see, Mekabes et Chai Yisrael, people are going to go to Israel. I like to say they're going to go there just to make a good living. It's going to be prosperous, right? You're going to want to go there like it's going to be such a successful country. That's a measure of a success of a country, that people want to be there because it's easy to make a living there. Then all the laws of the Torah will be reinstituted as they were originally, like in the days of Shlomo, where there was just beauty and justice and equity for all in a very special way. Makrivim korbanot. So we're going to have the Bet HaMikdash. We're going to bring korbanot. There are some people who are of the opinion that in Yemot HaMashiach there's going to be no korbanot. It's going to be vegetarian. I'm not kidding. I'm just expressing in case you hear this. Just wanted to let you know that there is that opinion. Of course, I personally can tell you when the Yemot HaMashiach comes, I don't have any intention of becoming a vegetarian. I will continue enjoying my Wagyu steaks, and if I have to bring a korban to the Bet HaMikdash, it's going to be meat. It ain't going to be a pizza pie. It will be a nice, delicious korban shelamim, put part of the mizbeach, and I'll have a big balined at a big party. Maybe you're all invited. If you're with me, we'll have a nice steak dinner that night. Sorry.
Isn't chazer going to be kosher?
Yeah, but that's a mashal. That's not real.
Okay, and then what about eating the leviathan?
Yeah, so that's a mashal. You have to understand what it means. Yeah. And what is the leviathan? What is it's a very amok, very amok. What is the leviathan? It's a deep idea. And what did they mean when they said that the pig? Because of course we know the Torah is la'adol me'olamim. So we know that when there's a midrash, because you have to understand what that means. And what that means is that everything is going to be reversed. Like I used to go to this yeshiva in Yerushalayim, and he was a very special rabbi, a very old man. He's still alive. God bless him. Yeah. And he once said that, when you go to Olam Haba, you're going to be amazed that everything is going to be opposite of what you thought. What you thought was good is going to be bad. What you thought was bad is going to be good, right? Who you thought was good is going to end up being that he was actually not such a good person. And people that you didn't think were so special or anything, they're sitting in the back of the knees doing nothing, whatever, and it's going to end up to be like a big tzaddik. So I think the point of that Gemara is in Yemot HaMashiach, you're going to be shocked. When the truth comes out, you're not going to believe the truth, because it's like we're so fooled by the world we live in that it's going to be like taking a pig and saying it's kosher. Obviously, the pig itself will never be kosher because we received the law, the 613 laws we received from Moshe Rabbeinu are eternal. They never change. But that's the idea of that midrash.
And the Leviathan, because like we're reading what we read in the Bekat Amazon is Mashal?
You mean on Sukkot, Rachamanu Yizakenu Lishem Besukat Oro Shel Leviathan. Right. So what does it mean Sukat Oro Shel Leviathan? So I studied that with so it's a deep idea. What is the Leviathan? It's a very deep and beautiful idea. And it has to be thought about. So right, but it's beyond just the simple meaning. All right. When we get to 9:15, somebody tell me. All right.
9:17.
Oh, okay. So 9:15 tomorrow morning. Then okay. So let's go to 9:20. Okay, let's go to 9:20. Right. The maklivin korbanot. So there's going to be korbanot. The osin shemitin veyovelot, and they're going to reinstitute the 7-year cycle and the 50-year cycle. You know that after they destroyed the first Bet HaMikdash, we've been counting 7-year cycles, right? But it used to be that there was 7 years, 7 times, 49 years, and then the 50th year was the Jubilee year, and then they would start the first year, would be year 51, would be the first year of the next 7-year cycle, and the first year of the next 50-year cycle. So today we only have 7-year cycles. We haven't had Shenat HaYovel. Now the reason we haven't had Shenat HaYovel is because to have Shenat HaYovel, the Jews have to be in Israel, and we have to own all of Israel. So once the Mashiach comes, we will own all of Israel. Am Yisrael will return to Israel, and then we will have 50-year cycles again, which is amazing, because what that means is that everybody will own land, real estate in Israel. You will be entitled to land in Israel as a Jew, and it's going to be yours. It's not going to be subject to the government taking it away, to a bank taking it away. It's going to be your land. And even if a person has to sell the land because he's poor, the sale will return back to the family, to that person, or to his descendants on the Jubilee year. So it's a beautiful idea to prevent the unbridled accumulation of wealth, right? So that's going to be in Yemot HaMashiach. So I just wanted to give you a slight taste. Last week we read a little about the Mashiach and the Gemara. Next week, although there's a lot more about the Mashiach here, but I don't want to devote too many classes to the topic. So next week we will go back to the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin where we left off. Gentlemen, any questions? Yes, sir.
Don't they say that, like you said, everyone's going to go to Eretz Israel when the Mashiach comes? How are they going to fit everyone?
Right. So first of all, the land of Israel will expand in the sense that the Mashiach will conquer, first of all of Lebanon, all of Syria, all of what?
Saudi Arabia.
Interesting. Will we get that?
Har Sinai is?
Interesting. It is where Har Sinai is, by the way. It is where Har Sinai is. I mean, it would be optional, right? So it's much bigger than it is. I feel we're going to conquer Turkey also because of real anti-Semites. And just as a principled matter, I'd like to take over Turkey. I'm sorry. You know the story with that guy. So the Turkish minister, the one who got up and he was cursing Israel, God should kill Israel. And then on the spot, he got a heart attack. He didn't die. He died 2 days later. Now, had he been in New York, and they would have taken him to one of the Jewish hospitals here, they would have taken him through the, you saw that with Modi? They would have taken him to a Jewish heart surgeon. He would have been alive, right? But there was no Jewish heart surgeons in Turkey, which is a loser, third world garbage country, and he died. That's why he died.
Would have a Jewish heart surgeon been allowed to operate on him?
Who knows and who cares? I would say Machshemo, he cursed the Jewish people. God killed them on the spot. I'm sorry, you had a question.
So all those areas would eventually become considered Israel?
Yeah, exactly. So once the Mashiach conquers the land of Israel, they have to be mekadeshim the land. So the Sanhedrin will declare that this is part of the land of Israel now, and it has a kedusha of Israel. And once it's conquered, that's it. So David HaMelech conquered Syria. And Syria is, I'm not being entirely accurate. You're supposed to first conquer the land of Israel that's given in Perashat Mashiach, the borders, that land of Israel. After you conquer that land of Israel, then you conquer other parts, and those other parts now become part of the original land of Israel. They all get the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. So, but for example, Jerusalem, Today it's very small. So in the days of the Mashiach, they're going to have to make it huge because
You
they're
have
going
to travel to it, yeah.
and everybody's
It's a
got to
bit of
travel
a-
to Jerusalem and eat the Korban Pesach in Jerusalem. I could have 20, 30, 40, 50 million people. You can't have everybody. So Jerusalem's going to be huge. So even what you see today, Jerusalem, is not the Jerusalem when you want the Mashiach. It's going to be much, much bigger.
You have to build the whole Beit HaMikdash.
You have to build the Beit HaMikdash, and then the walls of Jerusalem are not going to be what like where we have today. The walls is nothing. It's how many people can you fit in that place? Nothing. So they're gonna have. It's gonna be. So they're gonna have to make Yerushalayim much bigger with walls around it. Who knows where the walls are gonna be? And it's all gonna be kadosh. So the Sanadim is gonna have to physically walk through the area which they declare this is Yerushalayim, this is Yerushalayim, this is Yerushalayim, and that whole area will be mekudash. And then you would be able to eat the Korban Pesach, for example, because you can't eat Korban Pesach outside Jerusalem. It has to be eaten inside Jerusalem. So that whole area will become Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is going to expand like crazy. So Israel is going to expand like crazy as well. Yeah, exactly. So we'll have Lebanon. I heard they have really good skiing up in Lebanon. I'm not even kidding. They have like good.
Is there a map that's described somewhere of where exactly the borders of Jerusalem would be, or Israel would be, or it's really...
So Yechezkel, he describes, not specifically where the borders of Jerusalem will be, but he describes what the Beit HaMikdash will look like and what the dimensions will look like and how the land of Israel will be divided between the Shevatim. He actually goes into great detail in the book of Yechezkel. It's an amazing section of Ezekiel. He describes things with tremendous precision and detail. Really incredible. Yeah, that's the book of Yechezkel. But we're still in Sanhedrin, so we're going to stick with Sanhedrin. All right.